They say the Divine Dao leaves no mark where it passes, yet in the scorched ruins of the Celestial Alchemy Pavilion, the echoes of betrayal and ambition linger like smoke. Zhenxian's latest gambit has torn open the fragile truce between the sects, leaving allies questioning loyalty and enemies sharpening their patience. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1625, Chapter 1626. Every whispered strategy and hidden talisman carries the weight of lives poised on a knife's edge. As the sun sets behind fractured spires, a storm of alchemical fury and mortal cunning gathers, and even the most seasoned cultivators dare not predict who will emerge unscathed. In the veiled mists of the martial world, a scene of staggering impossibility unfolded. A mere cultivator, standing at the eternal river tier, had felled a saint, an act that shook the very tenets of the martial heavens. Where, he wondered, was the iron law that governed warriors and their limits? Yet this young man, Linghan, had only mastered the peak of the small saint, and even now, the killing of Zhang Badu marked the outermost boundary of his strength. Against a medium saint, he would be but a gust of wind scattered by a mountain storm, a fact proven when he had once been hurled skyward by the ancestral might of the Long tribe. Zhang Ye, his eyes gleaming with disdain, fixed upon Ling Han like a hawk upon its prey. His voice, cold and resonant, cut through the air. Since you have dared to cross paths with me, kneel now and accept the death that is yours. Ling Han, unshaken, allowed a faint laugh to ripple through the tension. Do you comprehend reason, or do you cling blindly to your pride? Reason? Zhang Ye echoed with a harsh, almost mocking chuckle. I am a medium saint. My will is reason itself. And as for you, you have taken the life of one of my Zhang clan. How can you still hope to live? The Zhang clan, though young among the Forbidden Lands, had known struggle and strength alike. Only one saint king graced their lineage, and great saints were absent from their ranks. Zhang Ye's personal power was buttressed by just 2 other medium saints and 4 small saints. Zhang Badu had been a jewel in their fledgling crown, his potential hinting at eventual ascendance to sainthood, perhaps even Saint King. And now, he had been extinguished at Ling Han's hand. The sting of his loss ignited a roaring tide of vengeance within Zhang Ye. He would not merely kill Ling Han, but seek to drown all connected to him in blood, to carve a red testament of the open cloud's Forbidden Land's wrath. Yet, with a great saint present, he restrained himself. For now, Ling Han would be subdued, captured, and brought back to serve as a sacrificial offering, and in time, the open cloud's king himself would descend to cleanse all life on this world. The Forbidden Land's dominion was absolute, and those who defied it courted annihilation. Ling Han, however, stood calm, a serene smile gracing his features. Your words bring me comfort. Crushing villains such as you, ridding the world of your evil, it is a pleasure unmatched. Zhang Ye's cold mirth broke the tension. So, young man, you believe that my restraint is due to the presence of the Star Sand Saint beside you? His sneer dripped with contempt. Yet when his gaze swept the battlefield, it halted, pupils contracting with astonishment. 2 female saints shimmered in his vision, their beauty almost unnatural, a fierce elegance that drew the breath from his chest. The heavenly phoenix divine maiden caught his attention briefly, but it was the empress who stole his heart. A force of allure so potent that it unmoored his Dao heart, leaving only raw desire, carnal and immediate. For the first time, the composure of a saint faltered. He craved her with a force that eclipsed his reason. She is yours? Zhang Ye asked, voice tinged with curiosity and lust as he gestured toward the empress. She is my wife, Ling Han replied, his tone steady. Any improper thought will hasten your death. Zhang Ye's laughter rang out, dismissive and unyielding. To him, the empress, a mere small saint, was inconsequential. 1,000 like her would be naught against a medium saint. But before his intentions could unfold, a commotion erupted. I have arrived! A booming voice declared, heralding the arrival of a large black dog, its presence commanding despite its form. Beside it stood a child of 4 or 5 years, a rabbit with crimson eyes and a ginseng root, thick as a man's arm, walking upright with features unmistakably human. This was the notorious quartet of the Martial Academy, Trouble incarnate, each a legend in their own right. The black dog, scratching himself in an utterly shameless display, emitted a shrill, piercing screech as his claws raked his iron undergarments, a sound enough to unsettle the uninitiated. Zhang Yi's brows furrowed in disbelief. The existence of such debauched saints challenged all his preconceived notions of the world. "Begone!" thundered the heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire, kicking the dog aside in a show of defiance, yet his demeanor retained the air of a ruffian. "This brat is under my protection. State your purpose." Zhang Ye's mind raced. A child manifesting saintly power? And alongside a monstrous dog of equal might? The strange laws of cultivation here warped the natural order. Even medium saints faced formidable opposition. He forced his composure. No matter, he thought. Medium saints are but pawns. The open cloud's king will settle matters. Yet the chaos only deepened. The black dog lunged with jaw snapping, aiming for the Emperor's rear, while the child and animal moved with uncanny martial prowess. Zhang Ye's stomach churned at the sight of such inconceivable power, small saints wielding might equal to medium saints. "Ignorant fool," he spat at Ling Han, returning to the focus of his wrath. "Kneel and accept your punishment." "Have you forgotten my presence?" The Star Sand Saint's voice boomed, frustration barely contained. As a great saint, to be ignored was an affront. Yet Zhang Ye's arrogance knew no bounds. The prestige of a forbidden land offered him license to dismiss even the mightiest of saints. "Unless you wish to provoke my ancestor, I suggest silence," Zhang Ye countered, voice sharp with imperious authority. The Star Sand Saints' veins burned with rage. Their alliance with countless forbidden lands, yet still restrained by protocol, forbade wanton attack. He composed himself, flicking his sleeves with the practiced poise of a great saint, a single command slicing through the air. "Scram." Zhang Ye, undeterred, declared with haughty certainty, "Hand the evil brat over, and I shall withdraw. This time, he shall be captured, and the next, the open cloud's king will cleanse this world." A chill ran through the battlefield as the Star Sand Saint's eyes hardened, a flash of ice in his gaze as he leapt forward, daring Zhang Ye to strike a saint. "Step aside," came a soft, commanding voice. Delicate yet unyielding, the Empress moved with mesmerizing grace, her every stride radiating a supreme, dominating aura. Even in silence, her presence spoke volumes. Here was a force not to be trifled with, a beacon of both beauty and martial authority that could unnerve the proudest of warriors. The air itself seemed to pulse with anticipation, the battlefield bristling as the clash of ambition, strength, and destiny began to unfold in earnest. In the celestial corridors, where the light of countless stars shimmered like silver threads across the heavens, the Empress walked with an elegance that made the very air itself shiver. Beside her strode the Star Sand Saint, a figure whose presence once commanded awe, yet now seemed like a mere shadow in her dazzling aura. "Pa!" With a motion both graceful and absolute, she raised her slender hand and sent the great saint sprawling aside. The force behind her was beyond reckoning. The Star Sand Saint was utterly powerless against overwhelming might. Yet, in the eyes of Zhang Ye, he mistook her brilliance for fragility, thinking perhaps that the sight of such a divine beauty had weakened her. A cold, cruel chuckle escaped him. "So you come to me willingly? Very well. I shall take you too once I've subdued you." In the world of saints, small saints often fled before medium saints, their speed making them elusive prey. But Zhang Ye underestimated the balance of power. If a small saint dared to fight, the resolute might of a medium saint could suppress them without fail. His arrogance, however, blinded him to the danger he now courted. "You dare slander my husband!" The Empress's voice rang out, laced with regal haughtiness. "Who dares speak thus before me?" Her beauty was ethereal, even in anger, ensnaring the senses and warping willpower. Zhang Ye felt an unnatural urge to bow, to grovel before her feet, but he recoiled in horror at his own weakness. He was a saint. His will should be iron, unshakable. Yet here, in the face of her divine presence, even his formidable spirit wavered. Without a word, he launched forward, palm brimming with suppressed power, seeking to seize her. Impudence. Her retort was soft yet thunderous, her palm striking out in a response that carried the weight of destruction itself. Boom. A torrent of sword light erupted from her hand, slicing into the heavens like a comet of divine wrath. Pu Zhongye's body shattered under the strike. Cleaved cleanly from his left shoulder down to the ribs of his right side, Crimson blood erupted in a fountain, staining the air with mortal terror. His expression froze in stunned disbelief, his mind struggling to comprehend the instantaneous annihilation of his body. How can she be so powerful? He thought, horror strangling his pride. A medium saint, and yet a single strike had undone him entirely. Frantically, he channeled origin power to rejoin his fragmented body, to stem the flow of his life force. But the Empress's sword carried a power that defied mere recovery. An aura so lethal it gnawed at his essence even as he poured every ounce of vitality into survival. True fear gripped him. No ordinary saint could withstand such devastation. Even his legendary regenerative powers faltered against her destructive might. If this continued, both body and soul would be obliterated, leaving nothing behind. In desperation, his divine sense fled, detaching from his ravaged form to preserve what remained of his being. Yet even as it hovered free, he glimpsed the Empress once more, her gaze like icy steel and lethal intent radiating from her form. Pah! His divine sense shattered instantly, the heavens themselves seeming to mourn, raining blood in solemn lament for the fallen saint. Zhang Ye's demise was swift, absolute, a fate earned by hubris and lustful folly. Those who underestimate a true master of martial arts inevitably meet ruin, and he had dared to covet her, to imagine her as a prize. Thus, he reaped the bitter consequences. The Star Sand Saint and others watched in muted awe, their faces betraying an unspoken truth. Birds of a feather still perished under the wings of greatness. Just as Ling Han had slain saints in the past, so too did the Empress demonstrate that even the mightiest could be reduced to dust. Ling Han's mind, though outwardly calm with a faint smile, was a storm of calculation. The next visitor would be the Open Cloud's king, a threat beyond the support of any Black Tower augmentation. Yet even so, time was on his side. The Open Cloud's forbidden land lay distant, a journey of 4 to 5 years from this point, granting him a precious window to prepare. Contemplating strategy, Ling Han envisioned a cunning ploy: host a grand treasure exchange, a gathering under the pretense of Dao discussion, summoning all Saint Kings to Wood Figure Planet in 4 years. Should the Open Cloud's king arrive then, the assembled Saint Kings would naturally defend him. A plan both audacious and elegant, leveraging time, distance, and human desire. Meanwhile, Ling Han poured himself into cultivation with unwavering focus. To rely on the strength of others was insufficient. His own power was the only true safeguard. Saint King's status was a distant peak, yet ascending to the Saint tier in 4 years seemed attainable. The Empress's display of overwhelming might was testament to the explosive growth potential awaiting those who pursued the Dao with relentless fervor. Achieving the Saint tier would render rival great saints no obstacle, and even the Open Cloud's king could be met with either confrontation or strategic retreat. Time flowed like the eternal river. Ling Han, under the Black Tower's shadow, cultivated ceaselessly. A year and a half saw him forge 8,000 heavenly bodies. 3 years later, 9.99999 million. His advancement slowed, a genuine barrier confronting him. Moments of desire and intimacy with the Empress and the heavenly Phoenix Maiden became rare luxuries, consumed by the demands of Dao comprehension under the reincarnation tree. Yet the Empress, ever insistent, ensured he could never neglect the pleasures of life entirely. 6 months of secluded devotion later, Ling Han formed his final heavenly body. 10 million, the pinnacle of the Eternal River tier. With his mastery growing, the elites of countless forbidden lands began their gradual arrival, responding to his invitations for the treasure exchange and Dao discussion. Ling Han emerged from seclusion, poised at the threshold of the Genesis tier, confidence radiating from his very being. He summoned the Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire, instructing him to lecture the Saint Kings on Dao to buy precious time. For the Open Cloud's king could arrive at any moment, be it tomorrow, next year, or a decade hence. But the deaths of 2 saints had already set the stage for eventual reckoning. The Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire ascended the stage, a boy under 10, yet already a medium saint, his presence astonishing to all Saint Kings present. As his words flowed, each phrase a thread of Dao. Even the most seasoned Saint Kings listened with reverent attention. Here, under the celestial gaze, the story of power, ambition, and the indomitable will of the Empress and Ling Han unfolded. a tapestry woven in light, blood, and the endless pursuit of the martial Dao.